episode 35. In the trap.
Welcome to Miffs.
I'm Matt Huss.
And I'm Dan Rhodes. Whether you know about Theseus or you're revising your syllabus,
If you want tales with a bit of jest, or you just want to hear about incest.
What?
What? It's really interesting.
Welcome to Miffs. Welcome to Miffs.
Hello and welcome to episode 35 of Myths. You keep on doing that, Dan, and I've had to reprimand you so many times. Put down episode 4 trumpet.
Sorry.
But I'm going to allow you that one time, Dan, because I'm back from the Edinburgh Fringe. Oh, God, yeah. Like, did you miss me, podcast viewers? I'm going to assume that's a yes. But yeah.
You said that like all the other episodes have just been me.
Did you miss me, Dan?
Yes, man, I did miss you.
What was your favourite thing about me being in Edinburgh for a whole month?
That I didn't have to edit podcasts every week.
Well, you didn't have to do that anyways. That's like saying, oh, thank God you... thank God... I can't think of it. I'm so tired.
A hilarious analogy. That is, Matt's very tired, bless him.
Yeah, it's... It just... I feel very tuckered out. The Fringe was very good, but... It does take its toll. But yeah, Edinburgh was it was a very hard month, and I thought about quitting comedy at least twice. But I think every gig I did was amazing. And
unfortunately, you haven't quit comedy.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah. Thanks for that. I appreciate that the moral support. That's the kind of emotional support I missed whilst doing this. And yeah, I had such a good time. I think the Fringe takes out a lot, but what it does give is give you some really nice friends, some brand new material, and I think I'm the strongest I've ever been as a performer, so I'm really happy, and it's really good.
Matt, when you a few weeks ago we did like a joke, like we pretended what this would be like when you come back from the Fringe, and whether you had a good time or not, and we pretended that you'd done really, really well, and you were a 6-star comedian.
I was a 6-star comedian.
How was the reality of this?
Actually, that 6 stars obviously impossible, but I did get a 4-star review.
It's pretty good
from Broadway Baby.
Never heard of him, but I'm sure
you
it's
never
good.
heard of Broadway Baby?
No, not really.
You did theatre and journalism for a module. How have you not heard of Broadway Baby?
Yeah, which didn't get a very good grade in.
Fair enough. But yeah, Broadway Baby is quite a big establishment. Kind of a big establishment.
It's a big thing at the Fringe.
Yeah, and they came to my early morning vegan show. So, as you are probably well aware, I did 3 shows. One was cancelled because on the day before I was supposed to do it, the late night compilation show, PBH, the people who booked it, had forgotten I had applied and accepted the offer and booked someone else in my place. So I had to cancel.
I didn't know that happened, actually.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty
bad.
bad.
I was really pissed off.
That's really dickish.
Yeah,
actually.
it is.
Did you have all the emails and stuff to say?
Yeah.
Did they apologise?
Not really. Well, they did, but in a very self-congratulating manner. So I was, to be honest, I did my 2 shows.
You had quite a lot on your play anyway.
Yeah, and I got to focus on...
Imagine if that had been the only thing you'd gone up there for.
Well, exactly. If that was my only show, I'd be very pissed off. However, I did my early morning vegan show, which I thought that was going to be a hard sell, but honestly, it was one of the best fun I've had at the Fringe, and I did my 2-hander, which I ended up doing about 40 minutes every day, and it was honestly... Working in that environment was really good. It felt very powerful. I basically had to start from zero with every single crowd and work your way up and really endear yourself to the audience. So I learned a lot. Although in our venue, at my 2-hander venue, it was so filthy. It was so grim. It was like a crackdown, man. It was awful. In fact, I think junkies would have went in there. It's like, oh god, this place is a bit run down, isn't it?
Why was it run down? Was it just small or old? Or?
2 weeks prior to the Fringe, it was a solicitor's office that they realised they can earn a lot more money if it's not an office block, so they stripped it all down, made it into a bar, and it's just fucking grim.
Nice. 6
venues in a tiny little place, so thank you for coming if you did come. Some of my friends did come along.
Matt's laptop's it's about to take off. It's just decided it's been fine every episode, and then today it's just decided it's going to make a lot of noise. So if it sounds like a helicopter is landing in the room, That's Matt's laptop about to explode.
I think if we
battery acid everywhere. If you put the laptop in the bath for a little bit, and the water will cool it down. I know technology, Matt.
Yeah.
That's what you do to fire.
Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, Edinburgh was a really positive experience for me, and and also I got featured in the British Comedy Guide.
That's pretty good.
And The Guardian said I was lovely.
Lovely as in, oh, could go see this show, or lovely as in like, meh, he's lovely.
No, they said I was lovely.
Wouldn't you rather have said you were funny?
Dan, don't look into it too much. It was a fleeting comment, but I'm taking it because it's The Guardian.
Okay, that's impressive.
Thank
Matt
you.
has been mentioned in The Guardian.
Yes,
fact.
So that's quite nice. And
so this year you've been mentioned in The Guardian and performed at the O2.
Yeah, well, actually, that was technically last year, but yes, yes. And honestly, I do think the Fringe kind of boosted my profile a bit. I think people take me a bit more seriously now, so it's quite nice, and I feel stronger than ever, and I'm really happy. And some really met some very cool people up there. And Dan, had a lot of stories from the Fringe.
Okay.
War tales, some may say.
War tales, okay.
And what I've done is I've written down some of my most memorable moments, some funny stories, and I think in the next couple of episodes, I think we're going to just I'm going to get
whip them out.
Yeah, and I want you to but you get to choose which ones you want to hear.
Okay, have you just titled them on the... Okay.
Yes, so what I've done, I've got a piece of paper, and I'm going to hand it over to you, and I want you to read out whichever one takes your fancy.
Okay.
Do you want to read out a couple of the titles, and then take it from there?
So we have titles such as Sleeping Outside. That's probably very similar to that episode where you slept in your car.
Yeah, actually, I'll tell this is a quick one, so I'll just...
Was it that you slept outside?
Yes.
Okay, so that was...
I didn't have a key, so I was waiting for I was staying with Athena, one of my flatmates, comedian, but she's 7 months pregnant.
That's a Miffs name, that is, Athena.
Yes, it is. And my other flatmate was out, so I didn't have any key to get in. So I was trying to buzz to get in, but I also didn't want to call her because she's 7 months pregnant and asleep. So I was like, well, just going to have to sleep outside for a bit. But I was also sleeping outside this very middle-class complex, this like retirement building. So it was actually, I'm going to say it.
Did you sleep in the grass, or...?
No, I slept outside the building to where the light was, and do you know what, that's not that bad. Don't mind being homeless, it's fine.
So you slept like a homeless person in the stairwell?
For like 5 hours, and then my friend Trev came back. So.
And he was like, Matt, what are you doing?
Yeah, he was pretty drunk, so...
That's nice.
It was nice, it was...
So Matt would rather be homeless than interrupt a sleeping pregnant lady? What a cat. He has a good catch. Imagine if you buzzing her had induced early labour. And she lost the baby or something horrific.
Like, what? Where's your key, man? I was like, oh, you didn't actually give me one.
Oh, my water's broken. Oh, well, at least I'm home now.
See ya. Alright, no, don't read them out because I think I have to tell the story otherwise.
Okay.
So why don't you read out the one you think?
The one that I think.
We'll do a couple.
Crack Den venue. You've just done that.
Yes, I did.
It was a crack den.
Awful, awful place.
I think I'm reading this right. This says MILF and wee penis.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, well, sorry. That's a long story, but I want to tell you, that's right, what it says...
Is that better for another episode?
No, I'll tell you now.
Okay, go on.
This is like,
maybe we'll just do that one today. And then
yeah, we'll move on. Because I think this is actually one of my favourite stories from Edinburgh, actually. Because, so...
I think it says he, she, MILF and wee penis.
Well, I'll tell you what it actually says, but it says heckle...
Heckle, that's what it says. Sorry, I thought it said he, she.
No, because that sounds offensive. Heckle and I'll tell a story, right? So, in the venue, it's quite a small little venue.
The Crack Den venue.
Crack Den venue. The Three Broomsticks, it was called. And in our room, it's very tight. And on one of the weekends, my auntie and uncle came along, and they're from Scotland, very north of Scotland, and they came all the way down to see me. It was really lovely to see them. It was very sweet.
Cool, you know you're Scottish when you have to come down to get to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Obviously you have to be Scottish, that's the only place you would be, but that's geography for you.
Iceland. So they came to see the show, and they were tucked away in the corner, right? And this was a really... the day they came was a really weird show, right? Because... in this small room, there was loads of different characters. There's a lot of different big personalities. And usually in an audience, we get one of them. But in this small venue, we had about 4 or 5 different people. Okay. Right? So it was a bit of a crazy gig. And I was wearing a white Razorlight t-shirt. And it was laundry day, so I wasn't looking my best. But I went to the show, and I was comparing it. And
by laundry day, do you mean that your clothes were soaking wet? And just like...
It was raining. What happened is that I was I was at the venue. I was comparing it, so I would do about 10 minutes. I'd bring Nigel on, then I would do about 30 minutes at the end, roughly. But then after, so I was comparing. So I was trying to get everyone warmed up, and there was this Irish girl sat in the audience. There was I was chatting to her. Her name was Chloe. I was like, "Oh, Chloe, what do you do?" And Chloe turned out to be a stylist. And I go, "Oh, check out my white Razorlight T-shirt. Do you like it?" And she goes, "No, I think it would look better off." And then there was this horny MILF behind her and goes, "Ooh, I'd like to see it taken off. Take it off." And everyone's like, "Take it off. Take it off." I was like, "Guys, I don't want to take off my shirt."
What's funny is in other episodes we've talked about that you seem very easily persuaded to strip in stage.
It's not my fault. My body is magnetic to that, it happens very naturally. Yeah. So what I did is I took off my shirt, and as I took off my shirt, Nigel walked into the room, which was like very shocked. And then I took off my shirt, and I was like, "Oh, do you like my body now, Chloe?" And she goes, "Could you put the shirt back on?" I was like, that was quite a brutal heckle, but she was really funny all the way through. But then the horny MILF. And I had mentioned my auntie and uncle in the back of the room. The horny MILF was not satisfied whatsoever. He goes, "Oh, you shouldn't put the shirt back on. Instead, why don't you take off your trousers?" And we were all like, "No, that's too far." Like, yeah. I've been down that rabbit hole. Yeah. We know how it ends.
I've been super before, yeah.
You should see Peter Fox's review. So I was like, "No, let's not take off my trousers." And so she goes, "Oh, so how big is it?" And she turns around to my auntie and uncle and goes, "Oh, so how big is it?" And my auntie, a bit shell shocked, she just goes, "Oh, I don't know. I've only seen it when it was wee." And everyone was like, "You got a small penis?" And I was like, "No, I haven't got a small penis. It's a very normal sized penis." And it's just one of those moments of like my auntie was mortified, I was mortified, the horny MILF was mortified.
When you heard your aunt's voice say at the back, "I only saw it when it was wee," were you like, "Oh no"?
Yeah, I was like, not like that, but
oh, okay, man. How old? Is this your mum's side or dad's side?
Dad's side, yeah.
Is that in dad's
sister?
Dad's sister.
Oh man, it was such a beautiful moment though, because like she didn't.
I'm sure your dad would have said a lot worse.
Yeah. He's pretty right. They're not talking to each other, but they so it was quite it was a beautiful moment. I also for the rest of that gig, where Chloe was actually quite a good she was a heckler, but because I'm quite a low status, kind of charming, kind of cute, but kind of not intimidating kind of person on stage. Chloe was quite a fierce Irish girl, and I did this routine where I get a girl up on stage and read her a poem, right? And I've got Chloe up on stage, which was quite brutal, and she fucking laid into me. It was so funny as well. It was honestly it was like great banter as well. I mean, she won.
People funny are funny?
She found it very funny, and well, in all fairness, I was giving all the balls to her, but not like that, but then what I decided to do was afterwards, she's very cute, and I said she can be my girlfriend afterwards. And I actually decided to go on a date with my heckler. I decided to go on a date with her afterwards, right? Which is quite weird. But I thought, let's go on a date with my heckler, because that could be a really funny story,
yes.
Right? Because I thought, maybe my ultimate heckler comeback would be to like
marry her,
then be like, "Ha ha! I don't love you. Divorce." That'll teach her. I mean, it'd be very expensive.
I'm taking the kids.
And I thought of all these ways I can kind of get back at her, or at the very least, just kind of. If I get married, maybe she can heckle my vows or something like that. Like, "Oh, I don't find you very funny." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, Chloe. Love you too." But so we actually decided to meet up. However, she kind of won because she turned up to the date an hour late. So I think she kind of won.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good sign for any day. No. It was a pouring rain as well, so I had to hang out outside. But then I decided to go and hang out with her. And we're friends to this day. So,
that's very nice.
Yeah, it was very nice. She's a very nice girl.
Did you heckle you on the date?
We had banter, but not so much. Bought her coffee.
That's... Oh. Ooh.
And fucked her. No. No, joking. Honestly, that was a joke.
Oh, that was funny.
Alright, Dan, shall we head into our myth?
Yeah, I think so.
Time to...
I'm glad you had fun at the Fringe, Matt.
Thanks,
I'm sure more stories will follow.
Yeah, and I've got some more funny stuff as well.
I'll whip out this piece of paper every now and then. We'll do a Fringe story in the next few episodes.
Tick them off, actually.
Yeah. Well, we've only done one. I'm pretty sure I can remember. I've already got one eyed up that I want to do.
Do you not want to do a quick one quickly?
Yeah, it just says, fell in love with a different girl. That's the most Matt thing I've ever read. Do you remember that time you were on a train, this is just very quickly, and you messaged me being like, hi Dan, I just fell in love with a girl. I was like, thinking that we hadn't spoken in a while, so I thought that it was like something quite impressive. It turned out you'd just been sitting next to someone on a train, and you talked to her for a few minutes and was like, yep, fancy this girl now. That made you sound creepy. I mean, I did some creepy stuff to that on the train.
Now, what happened is I've just been to a vegan gig when I went to go on the bus home, and the overnight bus home, and I started chatting to this girl, and I was like, oh Dan, I went to a vegan gig, and then I fell in love. He was like, that's the most Matt Hoss thing I've ever heard. But I will tell more of Matt's personal life very soon. Okay. Also, I feel like I've talked a lot about me. Let's tell us something about you. You're nice.
I went shopping the other day, and Sainsbury's charged me £1 for 2 tubes of Pringles.
What? Really?
Which is insane. That's 50p a tube. Proper tube as well. Barbecue flavoured Pringles. It's the best thing that's happened to me all week. Need I say more?
That's a 6-star story right there. So, here's the myth, guys.
I don't need a Trojan War. It feeds the rich while buries the poor. We're going stronger than I hear my girls they call ain't that fringe. I don't need your Trojan War. No.
So, this is officially our final Troy episode, because today we're going to be talking about the end of the Trojan War, the finale of the Troy saga. However, in future episodes we're going to be talking about other things that happened during this time and after the war.
And characters, whatever.
Yeah, so it'll be like kind of spin-offs of the Troy series, really. So, but also it'll be Troy themed, but not necessarily about the war itself.
So we've done the first 10 years of the war.
Yeah,
that was covered with Achilles' story
and
he's
Judgment of Paris.
And Judgment of Paris. He's now dead, Mr. Achilles.
Whoa! Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
What?
Again, you really should be listening to this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
if you haven't listened to at least part 3 of Achilles, then
I met someone who, like, one of our friends actually called Josh. He listens to it very ad hoc and randomly, and
a lot of people do. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, my friends do.
But
they just go to whichever one they think they. Oh, I'd like the sound of that myth. Or Oedipus. I want to know more about that. That's really not how it works, guys.
Because
especially not the 3-parters and stuff.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of callbacks, and also
especially when it comes to these Trojan War.
And there's some episodes where it requires a lot of it requires a lot more context, because I literally came out to you on that episode as well. And imagine if that's the first one you listened to as well.
Or imagine if you listened to Oedipus Challenge, first one.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah. God.
That happened.
I found out that Weetabix is a vegan, so should I do the Weetabix challenge?
Yeah, we should do it actually, yeah.
Have we not learned our mistakes? Evidently from this podcast we haven't.
But no, Achilles, he's dead, and now, what happens in the Trojan War?
So, Hector's also dead.
Hector's basically the 2 main warriors from each side are dead.
And it's kind of...
But the kings aren't. Agamemnon for the Greeks, the leader is still alive, and Priam, the leader of Troy, is still alive.
And this is the final kind of gestus for the war. This is the final blowout, and this is how the Greeks eventually win the war. So Dan, I think this is obviously one of the most famous myths of all time, and
it's actually the end of the myth. This episode basically is the bit that everyone knows about.
Yes,
or knows a bit about.
Yeah, and so what do you know about the end of the Trojan War?
They make a wooden horse.
Who?
The Greeks.
Yes.
And then they climb inside of it. Their best warriors climb inside of it.
Yep.
And then, I assume they didn't put Achilles in it. That'd be weird.
Dead body.
In fact, we know about him because his ashes there. Anyway, and they then somehow, the rest of the army leave or hide somewhere, and then they all of this is coming from the film Troy, by the way. And then they somehow, the Trojans take in the horse thinking it's a gift or something, or they steal it thinking they're being clever. And then at night, the people that are inside the giant wooden horse escape and start burning the city down.
So that's kind of the major part.
Because Troy's walls are impenetrable, right? So that's the only way to get in.
That's correct. So that's why they struggled for the last 10 years. However, we're gonna really go into depth on this one because that's the bare bones of the story. However, we've mentioned this multiple times before, but in the Roman epic poem, the Aeneid, where it's about what happened to the Trojans after Troy. We're actually going to be talking about Book 2 of the Aeneid, but we're not going to do it in a formal way because we'll be doing the Aeneid later on in full. We're not going to give the full context, but what happens is our hero called Aeneas, who is he's from Troy. He's quite a good warrior. He's a nobleman of Troy, and we're going to see his account of the fall of Troy. And
so it's from a Trojan's perspective.
A Trojan's perspective of the end of the war on Troy.
And they're pretty heartbreaking because they're just in Hector getting murdered in front of them.
Yeah, it's a weird time for them as well. And obviously Priam and his family are very devastated in lots of different ways. And we're going to be seeing what happens from this point of view as well. So, and also the context is that Aeneas has to tell the story. He's telling it in retrospect as well. So he's telling it from he's at a party and he needs to tell a story to stay alive, essentially. So
yes.
So that's
it's
all.
Like, hey, this crazy thing happened 10 years ago.
Well, that's what he's telling us now. And we'll obviously go into more detail in the future, but that's all you need to know for the time being. Aeneas is our hero, and we get to hear what happens. So, here we go, Dan. Are you ready for the end?
I'm ready. Let's see how the Trojan War. It's been 10 whole years.
10 whole years of.
So basically, what we've had, so in my head, we've had the start of the Trojan War was Paris. He stole Helen.
Yeah.
From Agamemnon. No, Menelaus, Agamemnon's his brother.
But they had that pact of all the Greek men. So.
Of all the Greek men was like, hey, you have to fight for me. So Agamemnon's like, all right, brother. And they rallied basically all of Greece and their empire.
Yeah.
And came to Troy's doorstep. That's the first part. Second part is basically Achilles' story. Was that's the battle. All of the different fights that happened, how long it lasted. You've got Hector dying, Achilles dying, Patroclus dying, all of the good stuff. And Priam talking to... And now we've got the final conclusion, which is after all of the main battles have happened, something's got to give. And
we've also mentioned a lot of big characters like Cassandra. Remember
Cassandra?
Who can see the future but no one believes her. And so all that stuff's really important. And this is where it culminates as well. So... This is the extract from Book 2 of Aeneas, from the Aeneid. So Aeneas begins the story of telling about how the Greeks were unable to defeat the Trojans in battle. So they sail away from Troy. They land. So on the beach of Troy, they leave something. They leave behind a giant wooden horse. But within the horse, as we've already said, there's Greek warriors inside of it.
When we mean giant, we mean like a massively well-constructed giant sculpture.
Let's teach them. Let's show with our words what the horse looks like. Then, what do you imagine the horse to be like?
It's probably on wheels.
Yeah, I think definitely on. If it's animatronic, that's fucking amazing.
I imagine a bit looks like a hobby horse.
Yes, yeah, but very obviously not rocking. Imagine that a giant rocking horse. That'd be terrifying.
Cool. I'm thinking like 2 or 3 stories tall. I'm thinking like big.
I think so. It's big. You've got to get some people inside it as well.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And they've got to be comfortable for a few hours. Yeah.
Well,
24 hours.
I think comfort is least of the problem. Yeah, but oh, there's no Wi-Fi in here. But yeah. So on this. So
the Greeks have all sailed away as far as the Trojans are concerned.
Yeah, they sailed away. However, as I've just said, that the Greeks are actually hidden behind a little island called Tenedos. And
so they've actually just sailed around the corner?
Yeah, so they kind of parked their navy just behind the corner, just in the blind spot, and like, oh no, we've definitely left, and here's a... And there's
a lot of ships too, there's a lot of them,
yeah,
the Greeks.
And it's like, oh, we've left this gift behind, enjoy this gift, take it into the walls of Troy, this gift. And also, why would a horse be a good gift? What are you going to do with it?
Is it Is it because the horse symbolises something to do with the gods or something? Is it meant to be like a sacrifice or an offering? Is it like symbolise something, strength or?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a bit weird.
But as far as the Trojans are concerned, they think this is all perfectly reasonable. They've taken 10 years to break into our rules. They couldn't do it. They've given up. They've gone back.
Well, we'll get into that in 1 second because there's a fierce debate. So the whole of their army is hidden around Tenedos. So the person that devised this plan was our cunning and wily friend Odysseus.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
No whooping, please.
Sorry.
No whapping. So Odysseus devised a plan to end the war for good. He asked that a wooden horse be built, and it was hollow on the inside. So the chest cavity bit is hollow, right? And also Odysseus didn't do this alone. He was helped by Athena. Athena kind of helped give him the idea for it. She inspired him for the plan because they're all tired of this. They want this to be over. So soldiers hid in the interior of the horse, which was brought in front of the city gates, and they were saying it was a gift from the Greeks, showing the withdrawal of the Greek army and the fake end to the war.
Can I just do a callback? This is the first time in the Trojan War we've heard of Odysseus since he jumped on his shield so he didn't die when he first landed, if you remember.
Yeah, and that guy died straight away.
Yeah. And he's obviously just been doing his thing this last 10 years.
Well, he's like a general, so he's just been kind of... He's been vibing it, you know. He's been, just been chilling out, you know.
I'm pretty sure in the film he's Sean Bean, right?
Yes, it is, yeah. Good eye. So the Trojans all come outside, and they are amazed at the horse, and they come outside the city gates to have a better look at it. So already people are arguing in favour of taking it inside the city. Others are saying it should be destroyed.
Burn it right now. Let's be done with it. Yeah.
So if you were in the Trojan city, what would you do?
I'd say get rid of it.
Why is that?
Just because, one, even if I wouldn't think it was anything menacing, but I'd be like, we don't want this. But then I also appreciate patriarchy and all.
Patriarchy.
Not patriarchy.
Patriarchy.
Patriotism and all that. Like people want to like, hey, remember that time we defeated the Greeks? Look at this massive statue to honour that.
Imagine having a misogynistic horse, the patriarchal horse.
Maybe I appreciate why people would.
You could always have that statue outside the city.
That's what I do. Keep it outside the city.
And just as I don't think it mentions it in here, but the horse actually is too tall for the walls. So to get it into the city, they have to destroy some of the walls to bring it in. So that's already a big no-no in some of the. So Laocoon, a Trojan priest, comes down from the city to have a look at it. He says not to trust anything having to do with the Greeks. He even guesses that there are some Greeks hiding on the inside. So then he throws a spear at the horse, and it hits the hub. Boom! It echoes, and revealing that is hollow. Now I think that's probably help from the gods there, so that's impossible. So Laocoon's already mistrustful, but throwing a spear against a very religious thing, that's going to bear some consequences.
Okay.
Because it's made by Athena, so that's actually quite a bad diss against the gods. The Trojans would have followed Laocoon's lead and would have destroyed the horse, but they are interrupted by a commotion. Dan, what was that commotion?
Turns out that all the ruckus is coming from some shepherds who step forward through the crowd with a prisoner. He's a Greek. The captive's name is Sinon. Sinon. I like Simon without an M. His captive's name is Sinon, and he has a story to tell. Sinon, the Greek, claims to be related to Palamedes, a Greek hero who came to oppose the Trojan War. As a result of this, Palamedes was executed on a trumped-up charge as a result of Ulysses, aka Odysseus' trickery. So his uncle's been tricked by. So
he's saying that
he's a relative.
Palamedes was dicked over by Odysseus. In fact, was Palamedes the first one to jump off the ship?
Maybe it was actually. I think it was. It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think that was the reason why I was a bit pissed off at him.
It was. He was the one that died first instead of Odysseus.
Although I must imagine that if Simon's complaining about this, Odysseus is in the chest. He must be hearing. He's like, well, if that sounds really impressive. Oh god. Anyway,
Sinon says that because he complained about his injustice, Odysseus had it in for him. He also says that the Greeks tried several times to sail home, but every time they were held back by bad weather. He says that their problems only got worse after the horse was built. Finally, they sent a guy called...
Ripulus.
Eurypylus, to ask the oracle of Apollo what they should do. The oracle told Eurypylus that a human sacrifice was required for them to get home. As you can imagine, this made everyone pretty nervous. Odysseus asked Calchas, the soothsayer, to interpret the true will of the gods. Calchas kept silent for 10 days, but finally caved in to Odysseus' pestering and named Sinon as the victim. Wow. Everyone else was cool with that.
It says that as well.
So the one guy, it's awkward how Odysseus decided there's the one guy in the whole of the Greek army that doesn't like him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Sinon.
Yeah.
Wait, Odysseus, isn't he the only one here that doesn't like you? Oh, what a coincidence. Sorry, Sinon, mate. Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
See you at home.
Good luck, mate.
Yeah, good luck.
It's quite funny that...
So they're going to have to sacrifice this guy, Sinon.
Yeah.
So they can sail home, in inverted commas.
And also, I like how the oracle has to just, like, I'm just going to
be quiet for 10 days. Yeah.
And Odysseus is like, come on.
You know it's Sinon.
Yeah, it says, Simon says. So, when the day of the sacrifice was rolled around, however, Sinon managed to escape. In the end, the Greeks sailed off without finding him. By the way, this is all part of his story, by the way, so it isn't true, necessarily.
This is that Trojan Aeneas's...
This is Sinon's story.
This is Sinon... Oh, of course, Sinon the prisoner is telling everyone this, so it might be a load of bollocks.
And we'll find out if it is or not.
When Oedipus gets on the horse, "Oi, Sinon, you bitch!"
That's Odysseus, not Oedipus.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
Oedipus is like doing some other things.
Yeah, he's doing some other things. He's busy.
Oh, yeah, mum. So, Sinon managed to escape in the end, and the Greeks sailed off without him. So ends Sinon's story. In conclusion, he begs the Trojans, in the name of the gods, to spare his life. And the Trojans feel pity for Sinon, and Priam orders them to remove his chains. And, at the very least, he's not a threat to them. He's actually... Sinon hates the Greeks as much as they do, so he's actually like... Well, also he mentions...
Yeah.
At this point, Priam thinks it's time to ask Sinon about the elephant in the room. Or maybe the horse in the beach. Sinon first swears that he is no longer loyal to the Greeks. Then he explains how the Greeks' trouble started when Odysseus and Diomedes stole a statue of Minerva from the Trojan citadel. Oh, we should probably read more about that afterwards. That's a story for another time. After they brought back the statuette back to the camp, however, wacky stuff started happening. Wacky stuff, so they started wearing odd socks and stuff like that. Wearing brightly coloured ties. The statuette started sweating, flaming, and moving its eyes. Oh yeah, and the goddess herself kept appearing out of the ground amid flashes of lightning. Our source material is awfully chilled out, by the way. It's trying to be cool with us. Yeah. Calchas, the seer, interpreted these events to mean that Troy could not be captured. They would have to sail home and wait for another sign for the gods making war on it again. So basically, in this story by Sinon, that it's unwinnable, so they might as well go home.
So he's telling a story to all the Trojans, being like, this is why my fellow Greeks have left.
And this is why there's a Trojan horse
on the beach.
According to Sinon, it was on Calchas' orders that they constructed the horse as a replacement for what they had stolen. He says that the reason they made it so big, so that the Trojans wouldn't be able to take it inside the city. So, actually, that makes sense. So they built a horse, so it's as their supplies, if you know what I mean. So it's like, it's not necessarily meant as a gift, but it's kind of like, so the Trojans can't take it into their city, if you know what I mean. So it's not meant for them, necessarily.
That's quite a good play on words, because it's just going to make them want it more.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're like, I'll tell you, we can't have this.
And also from a war point, if that's a bundle of supplies you could use for other stuff as well. So if it's not a statue...
Because he's making it sound like there's lots of stuff in it. Yeah. Like food and stuff, yeah.
So it's too big for the city walls. Sinon tells the Trojans that if any of them damage the horse, it will bring destruction on all of Troy. On the other hand, also that's a quite important thing, because they also don't want to kill the people inside. Yeah. On the other hand, if they take it inside the city, it will bring destruction on all the Greeks. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Here ends Sinon's second story. So, basically trying to influence him to kind of...
So he's definitely lying. He's definitely a little Greek-like mastermind.
So, the part... to go beyond, this will probably be explained in a sec, but Simon was left there intentionally to kind of influence them to do that. So he's actually he's playing them at their own game, if you know what I mean. He's actually quite a brave person, because he's not hidden inside the horse. He actually has to go out in front of him, and he could die at any point, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think that he's actually been...
Like a spy, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's been very sneaky, if you know what I mean.
His story's quite good, quite believable.
Yeah.
And it just plays to what they want.
And also, as we mentioned earlier, if you damage the horse, that means that some bad things are going to happen to you. If you bring inside the city, bad things happen to the Greeks.
Which is what they want.
Who was already damaged to the horse? That the priest called Laocoon.
Yeah. At this point, how do you say that?
Laocoon.
At this point, Laocoon, the priest guy who threw the spear at the side of the horse, starts making a sacrifice to Neptune, the god of the sea. All of a sudden, 2 giant serpents slither out of the sea, crawl up to Laocoon, and strangle him and his 2 sons to death. Wow.
Do you want to see a picture? Because this is actually a big moment in art as well. Because Laocoon's like, "Oh, I'm a very pious god. Like, don't this horse is very bad." And then this big monster goes, it just eats him and his sons. So it's like
in front of everyone.
Yeah, and so everyone's like, "Let's not listen to Laocoon, really." The serpents make their way into Troy, head to Minerva's citadel, and curl up behind the statue's shield. Important, because it's saying that the serpent is pious, if you know.
Yeah.
So this is a big omen.
Am I reading? The Trojans interpret this as punishment from the gods for spearing the horse. They decide to take the horse inside the city. They actually have to knock a hole in the wall to bring it in. This is too big, but they want to because it destroys the Greeks. And they've now got reason to believe that curse is true.
Yeah, in all fairness.
If you damage it, you get eaten, which did happen. So now they're thinking, well, maybe if we do bring it in, the Greeks will die.
And I feel quite bad for Laocoon, especially his sons as well.
Yeah.
He's like, "No, don't bring him in. No, don't do that." And then he's just like, blah, blah, blah.
Everyone is celebrating. 4 times the horse jars on its way into the city, and 4 times the weapons of the Greeks inside clatter. No one notices.
And we come across a very old face.
Yeah. The Trojan princess, Cassandra, who has the gift of prophecy, tries to prevent them from taking the horse inside the city. Unfortunately, the gods have cursed her so that her predictions will not be believed. As indeed they are. Now, we have come across her before.
Yeah.
But she's like, "Everybody, Troy's going to fall, don't listen." And everyone's like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah.
Even though she...
Laocoon.
It's a terrible curse to know that she's actually right, but no one can listen to her.
You can never win an argument, can you?
No.
I don't think you're always right.
Night comes, and the Greek fleet sail back from round the corner at Tenedos. Sinon lets the Greeks out of the horse. They kill the Trojan sentries and open the city gates for their friends who are just arriving at the city. So Sinon's creeped up to the horse, which I guess is in the middle of the city centre, the courtyard.
Yeah, and everyone's partying, everyone's drunk, because this is the end of the 10-year war.
So, woo! Just subtly opens the...
A lot of whapping.
Yeah, opens the... Whoop, 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 whoop. Opens the Trojan horse. All of their top warriors jump out.
Yeah.
Kill all the guards that are in the vicinity. Okay. Meanwhile, they open the gates, and now 1,000 ships of Greece are now outside the city, ready to come in.
Because the walls are impenetrable, but the gates are open, so
they all flood in.
Everyone is at their worst state as well. Yeah. So this is not a good situation.
Meanwhile, in the city, Aeneas is asleep.
Oh, just a quick point. It's Aeneas, right?
Aeneas.
And when I studied this in both year 11, year 13 and my 3rd year, and in year 11, right, we studied it, and I had a very chilled out teacher called Mr. Weston, and we had a very stupid boy called, class he's called Martin, and Martin's a bit of an idiot, and Mr. Weston always says, because how is it spelled, Dan? Aeneas.
Aeneas is spelled Aeneas.
And Mr. Weston at the start of the year always goes, "Okay, so we're going to reading the Aeneid with Aeneas, and it's called Aeneas, and it's not pronounced anus," okay? And Martin, because we have to take it times reading, and every time he'd be like, "And dutiful anus." It's like, no, it's Aeneas. That's a fun story.
Meanwhile, in the city, Aeneas is asleep. The Trojan warrior Hector appears to him in his dream, all covered in blood and dirt, as he was on the day he was killed by Achilles.
He hasn't got a shower in the underworld.
No, he hasn't. He's dragged around on a chariot for about a week. Hector tells Aeneas that Troy is about to be captured. He tells him to gather up his household gods and go found a new city for them. Aeneas wakes up and climbs up to his roof. From there he hears a terrible clamour and he can see numerous houses burning.
His first thought is to arm himself in battle. However, Then, at his door, appears Pantheus, the priest of Apollo, who is carrying some images of gods and leading his grandson. And Aeneas asks Pantheus where they should go to take their stand to defend Troy, but Pantheus tells him that the city is done for, and he should just take his family and leave the city. And that's quite wise advice, and Hector also told him to do that as well.
Yeah.
But this is our first bouting out with Aeneas, and Aeneas is not as sharp as tool in the box.
No.
But he's also patriotic, so all the same, Aeneas rushes into the fight without armour and gathers up some companions. Together they fight with suicidal courage. They kill some Greeks and take their equipment. With their disguises, they are able to join the ranks of other Greeks and kill them through treachery. So
they've put the armour of dead Greeks on and like posing as Greeks. Yeah.
So Aeneas can hold his own. He's quite a decent chap like that.
Fighter.
However, Aeneas has quite a lot of family. He has his father Anchises, has his son Aeolus or Iulus, and he has his wife Creusa as well. Remember those names. But then Corybus, one of Aeneas' comrades, who also happens to be the husband of Cassandra, sees his wife being dragged out of Minerva's temple by some Greek warriors. Like a madman, he rushes into the fight, and everyone else follows. In the chaos, they are hit by a bunch of missiles thrown by Trojans hiding out at the top of the temple. They mistook Aeneas and the company for Greeks because they had stolen the armour.
Yeah.
Obviously. Realising the Trojan deception, the Greeks rally and a furious battle breaks out in front of the temple. Many Trojans are killed, including Corybus.
But then, outside the temple, the Trojans are distracted when they realise that Priam's palace is being besieged. Aeneas and some other men sneak in a back entrance to help out. They make their way to the roof, where they knock a tower off onto the Greeks below. But there are too many of them, and they keep coming on. The most fearsome of the Greeks is
Netomolus.
Netomolus, the son of Achilles.
Oh, well, he actually has two names. Netomolus is one of his. I think the easy name is Pyrrhus. And so it's Pyrrhus.
Pyrrhus.
And it's like Paris, but badass.
Okay.
Pyrrhus.
I didn't know Achilles had a son. They didn't mention that.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like...
an illegitimate...
You know, like this is an early reference, but when Wolverine's gone, there's X2 or whatever, and there's like Wolverine's son who's like kind of like, he's kind of written into the story, if you know what I mean. He's like Poochie from Simpsons, you know what I mean? So Pyrrhus is Pyrrhus is his son, and where Achilles is quite a grand character, Pyrrhus is a lot more cynical and acidic. He's more hostile and kind of grosser. He's not a nice guy, Pyrrhus. And do you know what words might come out of Pyrrhus as well?
Pious?
No, it's the word I'm looking for is Pyrrhic. Pyrrhic victory. Have you heard?
No.
Well, we're about to hear what Pyrrhic victory is.
Should I start calling Pyrrhus then?
Pyrrhus. It's easier, in my opinion. You know.
Meanwhile, Priam puts on his armour and prepares to face down the Greeks, old and decrepit as he is.
And he
Pyrrhus.
puts on his all his old armour as well.
Yeah. When his wife
Hecuba
sees him, however, she tells him to stop being such a fool. She makes him cover over with her and some women who are clinging to an altar for safety. They are assuming that the Greeks will not violate the holiness of the place. Okay.
So the ladies are hanging out in the temple because they don't want to offend them. They don't want. They think it's a sanctuary for them.
Yes.
And also, I forgot to mention this. They don't really mention this, but in the Aeneid, they talk about when Aeneas is on top of that rooftop. He because he's half god himself. His mother is Venus, Aphrodite, and he sees all the gods like kind of crushing Troy and stuff like that. So it means that all the gods there are kind of it's their end of the war as well. So they're kind of fighting out as well. And there's not many.
But only he can see them.
Well, yeah, but it's supposed to be like an artistic moment, so he doesn't really see them. But it's to show that the gods are messing around this whole time. Okay. Just then, Polites, one of Priam's sons, rushes in, wounded, with Pyrrhus in pursuit. Pyrrhus catches up to him and slays him brutally. And he does this in a very brutal manner as well. And he knows all the family are watching, so he makes it a scene. And Polites is a very young and sweet boy, and he absolutely destroys him.
Okay.
Pyrrhus is an awful, gruesome guy. Enraged by the death of his son, Priam prepares to attack Pyrrhus. Priam reminds Pyrrhus about his father, Achilles, and how he had once taken pity on him when he gave Hector's body back for funeral, as we talked about in previous last week. Priam tells Pyrrhus that this horrible hate behaviour that he's demonstrating makes it seem that as if he isn't the true son of Achilles. Priam feebly attacks his younger foe, but does not succeed in wounding him. Instead, what Pyrrhus does is he slashes the legs of Priam so he falls to the knees, and he's down for the count here. And what he does, he drags Priam by his hair through the blood of his own son to the altar, makes him look over the burning city of Troy, and cuts off his head. Isn't that messed up?
That's pretty messed up, yeah.
So, because Pyrrhus, he's not going to kill him outright. And remember when Achilles killed Hector, it's kind of a straightforward thing.
Yeah.
Even as angry as he was, well, he did kill him. He did the chariot thing.
But even in terms of him killing him, it's just one quick blow to the chest.
But this, he's dragging him through his son's
body and
corpse, and he cuts off his head. And this is in front of the whole of the family as well. So the last thing Priam sees is the fall of his city burning. And it's quite a horrible moment. Aeneas, who had been watching this whole time, suddenly thinks of his own father, Anchises. And, I mean, he hadn't thought of him before the whole thing.
Yeah.
So he rushes home to help. On his way home, he runs into Helen. She is trying to hide, afraid of both Trojans and Greeks. She is actually in the worst
because she's the reason all this is happening, so no one likes her at all.
Yeah.
The Greeks don't like her because they're being killed, and the Trojans don't like her because their city's about to fall.
Yeah, and it's all because of her as well. Everything is because of her.
Aeneas is about to kill her.
Aeneas is about to kill her when his mother, Venus, appears and tells him not to blame her. She says that what is happening to Troy is not Helen's fault. It is the will of the gods. Venus takes away the mist. Oh, this is the moment I was talking about. She takes away the mist from Aeneas' sight so she can see the various gods of work destroying the city. It's not Helen's fault, it's the gods. Then Aeneas runs home to find his father and tells him to get ready. They're going to head out and run for the hills. But old man Anchises refuses. He says that he's lived and suffered long enough. So he's just like, nah, I'm good. Here you go on. But then, Creusa, Aeneas' wife, and his son Ascanius, Ascanius has different names, by the way. Ascanius, they try to bring Anchises round, but he keeps refusing. Finally, Aeneas gathers his weapons in order to go out and die fighting. Creusa tells him to take her and Ascanius along with him. Just then, at that last moment, flames burst out of Ascanius' head, but they do not burn him. And this is a significant message. This is a sign from the gods, and Anchises is a very pious man, so he prays for a sign from the gods, and suddenly a shooting star flashes overhead. And this is a good and pious sign. This means go for it.
Okay. And
a little bit of history knowledge for you. This obviously this was written by Virgil, and this is actually a piece of Roman propaganda here, because during this is supposed to be a good sign. I think this similar thing happened whilst Augustus was on reign, so a shooting star meaning that Augustus was the rightful person to be in the throne.
Okay.
So this is Augustan propaganda here.
Okay.
So interesting, right?
It is interesting.
So this is how they work propaganda into
myths.
a myth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Anchises is now on board and he's ready to rock out. So Anchises is set and goes with Aeneas.
Now thinking of survival instead of suicide, always great, Aeneas takes his father on his shoulders. He gives his father the images of the household gods to carry. Then he takes Ascanius by the hand. After Aeneas tells some servants that they will meet up at a certain cypress tree by an inland gate of the city, they head off, with Creusa following behind. In a moment of confusion, however, Aeneas ducks down some alleyways and Creusa gets lost. Aeneas doesn't realise this until they get to the cypress tree. Okay.
So he's got his dad on his shoulders,
son in
hand, and he's like, Creusa, we'll catch up with you.
His wife's missing.
Yeah, so which is a bit horrible.
He goes back alone through the flaming city looking for her, but does not find her. Suddenly her ghost appears and tells him that it is too late. She tells him to go where the Tiber river flows, i.e. Italy. There he will get a new kingdom and a new wife. Aeneas accepts Creusa's words and heads back to the cypress tree, where many refugees have now gathered. Together, they set out on their voyage.
So that's quite...
The River Tiber is where Rome is.
Yes, well, that's the whole point of the thing is trying to get to the city of Rome and find Rome. However, as we've demonstrated here, Creusa, she dies very quickly.
And he just accepts that her ghost is there.
It's nice that they're running off, and she's kind of like browsing at the window shopping. But yeah, she's just kind of like window shopping, and he's like, "Come on, Carissa," but she dies. And in the, she tells him to kind of move on with his life. And what he does, he tries to hug her, but there's this thing. It's a Homeric tradition of 3, so the characters will try things 3 times, so he'll hug her 3 times but keep on missing, so it's kind of a weird thing to try and hug a ghost 3 times.
Yeah.
But and also Carissa moves on pretty fast as well. She's like, yeah, it's alright, I'm over you, I was sleeping with the bin man, so
and I'm dead now, so yeah.
Fuck you, dude. That's pretty much the end of the... So Troy is destroyed, and the Greeks...
And this guy, Aeneas, is taking the rest of the Trojan women and children and survivors.
Yeah, they go off into the hills, and they leave Troy. And Aeneas... Anchises is the kind of de facto leader, but although Aeneas is the kind of... He's the one that kind of runs it all, if you know what I mean. So, that's where we are at the moment. However, what happened to Paris?
He started all this. We know where Helen is. She's scared to death somewhere in a barn or something.
I believe Paris and Helen make it out alive. I'm not sure what happens to them, but apparently later Paris is killed by Philoctetes using Heracles' bow. And this whole Trojan War, I'm not quite sure. We probably have. I think Helen has returned to Menelaus actually, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But we'll find out in the Odyssey actually. The Trojan War marked the end of the heroic age of man. This is an age where Zeus attempted to depopulate the earth and kill a number of demigods and heroes, and this all proved successful. And although victorious, most heroes and Greek soldiers were never really returned home, or returned after their many adventures, as the gods were infuriated. So, although the Greeks won this time, they didn't really win overall. They're all losers, really.
Yes.
So, and that
is Troy. Troy's now just a burning pile of nothing.
And that is the end of a 10-year war, Dan.
Bye!
I'm not bowing, about to do
Bye! See you in the next part of the myth.
I don't need your Trojan War.
So, Dan, what do you think of the end?
That was sad. And it was different to the film, which made it interesting for me.
Yeah, it was I think it's nice to go into that detail, isn't it?
It was very detailed, actually. And Aeneas, I never really thought of him.
Yeah, and he does appear at the very end of Troy as well. Have you enjoyed the whole of the Troy series?
I have, right from Paris and running off with Helen,
yeah.
All of Achilles and Hector's battles, and Agamemnon and Menelaus and Priam, and now, yeah. And new heroes keep emerging.
Yeah, and
key people have stepped up at the right time, which I think is important.
And all these different people will pop out throughout different myths as well. Like, especially in the Odyssey, there's what happens after all this as well, because 10 years afterwards, and it's kind of like figuring out... It's kind of like it's like a reunion, if you know what I mean. Especially in the first part of the Odyssey, it's called the Telemachus, and it's about basically what happened to these Greek heroes after the war.
Yes.
So, and it's very interesting. However, we're going to rank the fall of Troy, Dan, and we do it in 4 categories: life skills, morals, creativity, and the WTF factor. We mark them out at 10. So, Dan, let's talk about life skills.
Life skills, I would give it quite high. Well, you learn how to build a horse.
Yeah.
A giant, massive wooden horse.
Learn how to lie for your teeth.
Do you reckon they put a massive wooden horse penis? Did it have wood? Do you think they would? I think they'd have that attention to detail.
That's how you lever it down. You know, it's like it's a lever system. So you pull on the erect thing, and it lets a ladder out for the horse.
That's quite a good idea.
It's like, Odysseus, who are we going to get to make the horse penis? Simon. He's a dickhead.
So there's that. That's pretty good.
We learn how to escape a burning city.
We learn how to burn down a city to begin with.
Yeah.
All of that the whole creative side of that was the creative. It's not really life skills, but learning how to weave a story, Sinon and all that.
Yeah. Well, I guess that is a bit life skills. We learn how to kill family members, how to kill someone brutally,
how to
kill a king, regicide.
Yeah.
Oh, also, the thing I didn't mention as well, I think Pyrrhus also went into the temple and killed all the ladies, and most of the ladies inside the temple as well.
Oh, well.
So he goes against the god's wishes as well. He's pretty gross. And that's called a Pyrrhic victory. That's where the term Pyrrhic victory comes from. It's like a victory, but at what cost?
Okay.
I am fascinating.
So fascinating.
Oh, I don't know how I've been single for so long.
Yeah.
Because I go into Tinder dates and I'm like, hey, ladies, oh, what do you know about classical mythology? And I'm like, kind of like, here's my podcast!
I have a dog. Incorrect!
You have a Regus Maximus.
Yeah. No, I don't really know what life skills we've learned really other than those. Quite big ones there.
I think, we learned how to sail away. We learned the warfare, it's like sailing away in terms of tactical stuff. We learned how to...
make a hole in your wall to get a Trojan horse through it.
We learned how to be jammy, because the gods are on our side, getting Laocoon on. We learned how to eat a whole human. And, we learned how to throw a spear. We learned to believe prophets every time they're always right. And we also learned that... it's... Yeah, I guess we learned to how to read signs in the sky. Also learned how to become a refugee. That's...
Yeah, you hate refugees.
Only Syrian.
Only Syrian.
That's a joke, by the way. That is a callback.
Technically, these guys were Turkish because Troy's in modern day Turkey.
Well, technically Trojans, because Turkey didn't exist at that point.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
7 or 8?
I think 7.
Okay. I think 7.
I think it's fair because we learned some big stuff, but it wasn't overwhelming.
No, I
agree.
agree.
We did learn quite a lot, but then again, yeah, and there's some practical stuff, but also warfare stuff. Why not an 8?
Well, I think actually an 8 because we gave last week a 7. And this is definitely more life skills than.
Okay, morals. Don't leave someone to take the bait. Simon.
Don't believe everything someone says, i.e. Sinon, telling everyone about Greek.
Don't murder someone who is the cause for the war because it's not actually her fault, it's actually the god's fault.
Yeah. Don't drag someone through the corpse of their son and then murder them brutally.
Don't murder the son in front of the family, and don't murder the family as well.
Don't murder the family. Don't murder women in a temple.
Also, if you're watching that whole thing, and you could have stopped them at any time, maybe do that, Aeneas.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh no. But then again, Aeneas acts as a device to see all these different things.
I suppose the bottom line from things like the Trojan Hawk, there's a Trojan Hawk.
Trojan Hawk.
This whole thing.
I'm the Trojan whore.
This whole thing just explains to us why you should never accept gifts into your home.
Never trust a Greek bearing gifts. That's where that term comes from. Yeah. Never. That's where xenophobia. That's actually the manifesto of UKIP right there. It's just that this myths is going to be played at every UKIP meeting from now on.
Never.
Especially that Syrian bit.
I think it was pretty morally good. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. I guess you gotta own up to mistakes.
Sometimes you've got to say enough's enough and leave and go to a new place.
Yeah. Or think of different tactics.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
5.
I think 5 because it's not crazy, but there's a significant amount of. It's about average.
Bang average. 5. Fumph. 5. Cease.
Can you cease doing that? Oh.
Actually, it's sank, isn't it? Not cease. I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I don't know French.
And we're bad at math. Creativity. I think it's quite creative.
Pretty creative, yeah.
We're signing the story.
The serpent's coming out, yeah.
Destroying the wall to get the horse in.
Yeah, destroying the wall. Him seeing the stars and
and the prophecy.
Good. The ghost.
And the trickery of the armour and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true, all that. What's his face? Pius killing everyone.
Yeah, Pyrrhus. Pius the murderer. And the fact that the level of how he killed them as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to say an 8 there.
8, I agree.
And the WTF act there, the things that make you just go, what?
Quite well. The whole concept of sin and lying is quite messed up.
What do you
mean?
The
serpent's coming out of the water.
Yeah, I mean that's more messed up. But what do you mean?
Well, the fact that he's like,
that's a bold plan.
It's a bold plan. Like he's got some balls, like to stand in front of thousands of Trojans and say that he's a prisoner and that. You know, all this stuff about the horse and that he's like, no, please, I'm on your side, I hate the Greeks. And then 2 hours later, he's letting everyone out the horse and burning their city to the ground. It's
nice you think it's only 2 hours later. It's just like everyone gets hammered in that time. Let's just do some Jaeger bombs, stuff like that. I think obviously the murder of Priam and his family,
Priam's pretty mental, the ghost thing's pretty mental.
His wife is a ghost. And the fact that Anchises wouldn't leave is pretty weird as well. I think maybe that it's not I think there's some gross bits, but not OTT.
6 or 7.
In my head, I said 7, but I'm not sure why. Maybe 6. Well, it's pretty weird. We see the fall of Troy, and it's very brutal.
It's very brutal. It's pretty messed up.
And you know what? I'm going to give it a 7 because there's gods destroying the city.
That's true.
I mean? So I'm going to give it because it adds that extra depth to it.
That's true. I think it's also messed up because I think it's believable that humans would do something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a good... And also, we need to take at face value the horse. The idea of the horse is... we know it's a very common thing, but the idea of a wooden horse, that's crazy, you know. That's such an ingenious thing. So, we have 8 for life skills, 5 for morals, 8 for creativity, and 7 for WTF. And add that all together, it's 28.
28, correct.
28.
Not a bad score, that.
Fall of Troy, better than Achilles 3.
Yeah, not bad.
So, Daniel, how you enjoyed today's myth?
Yes, I have. That was a good myth.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad the Trojan War's over. It's been a good few episodes, but I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, and
I now know much more about the Trojan War.
Yeah, it's. I feel happier for. I'm glad we got to finish it. That's our longest project. Because we started up with Hercules, and then we moved on to Jason and the Argonauts, and now this is our longest series so far as well. For the time being, wink, wink.
Winky wink wink,
and
whappity boo boo, doodle doo, chuba ba choo.
Are you scatting?
Yeah.
That's an art form in Ingo. Oh, we did the scat episode, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah. And then next week we've got the scatological episode where we just poop on the podcast. Dan, next week, can we tell the listeners what we got planned for the future episodes?
Odysseus.
Well, that's in the future, but I mean strictly in the next couple of episodes. Do you know what we're doing?
No.
Well, next week and the week afterwards, I believe we are doing Agamemnon and the story.
Oh, of course we are. Yeah.
This what happened to him.
The
Oresteia, famously an Aeschylus trilogy, and we are going to talk about what happens in that time.
Because he wasn't really mentioned at the end, then, the Agamemnon.
No,
the king of Greece.
But we've missed out some bits and pieces which allude to the story, and we are going to tell the story of Agamemnon and the tragedy that his house comes from.
Agamemnon is from the house of Pelops.
Yes,
we know why, and his whole family lineage is cursed because of Pelops, didn't he?
See, it's all linked together, isn't it? Because in the ancient Greek times, there's only 5 people around, so it's really, everyone's connected to everything. So, Daniel, do you know what I want to do right now?
What?
I would love to tweet about how good this podcast is. And how could I do that?
If you want to do that, Matt, I would recommend going on... I would... hashtag... you could go to our handle at Miss Podcast.
Yes, and tweet us some praise. Tell us what you think about it, if it's positive.
Yeah, or you could give us 5 stars on iTunes.
No, that's a requirement. I said that in a weird way.
You did.
That's a requirement. Requirement. Apparently got a lisp. Requirement. That sounds weird. Alright, just do it. Please give us 5 stars on iTunes. We really appreciate that.
Or you can email us.
Email us. Tell us what you think. We would love to get in touch with you. And
misspodcast@gmail.com.
And if you don't email us, we're going to email you. And how we're going to email you? We're going to try all the emails in the world. So, I don't know who you are, but if you just...
Please don't block us.
Yeah, please. But if you want to get in touch with us or ask for a certain myth you want to have read out, or you want to tell us a story, or if you want to just say how much you like the podcast, that'd be really, really appreciative as well. So, and on top of that, if you want to see me live, because I am a stand-up comedian, if I haven't already showed it to you. Dan, you're supposed to laugh.
Oh, sorry.
I'm funny. Dan's seen me live quite a lot.
I have. I bet at least 4 times.
I'm good, aren't I?
You're very good, yeah.
You should see my Fringe show. That's probably the best I've ever been.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a lot of shows in autumn and in the winter. So if you would like to see me, go on my website, and I'm at matthoscomedy.com. I'm doing a lot of festivals. For example, I am doing the Nottingham Comedy Festival. So if you want to come along and eat some goulash,
shout out to Charlotte, who's probably going to go.
Yeah, please, Charlotte, if you please be my only audience member, please. It'd be great to have you along, and also I'm up and down the country a lot. I also run my own vegan comedy gigs, which isn't as wanky as it sounds, and
it's worse.
Yeah, it's awful. It's so sanctimonious. In fact, you know what? If you're actually worried about, if you think it's going to be like a weird night out, check out our 4-star review, because the 4-star review it's a meat eater's perspective on it, and we still got 4 stars as well. So it's basically just a silly comedy club, and you can come and see me and support that up and down the country. We literally do gigs from Edinburgh all the way down to Kent. So anything, that's only 2 gigs, but but you can come along. We do loads of gigs, and we're great to see you. And Dan's going to come along to a couple, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to come along to at least 0 to 1 gigs.
Dan always bails last minute. It's like, oh, can I not go to your gig? I'm like, fine, but my heart breaks. But then again, not really. I'm actually very capable, so I don't need you, Dan.
There was the time I asked if you want that gig in Kingston. I said I'd come, but then you said it was sold out, so I couldn't.
That's not the story, Dan. What it was I can't really be bothered to go. Is that alright if I don't go? I said, that's fine, because we're sold out, so...
That's basically what happened, yeah.
So, but there's you wasn't sold out, so you weren't allowed to go. That's a different story.
I asked Matt for tickets, but he said it was sold out, so...
Well, actually, some people didn't turn up, so you could have come. Oh. So. Anyway, enough of our bitching. Dan, I love you, so I will go now. But can you say something inspirational, heartwarming to finish this episode? So that the listeners can hold in their hearts for a whole week, and wait till the next episode. Something that I can cherish for a long time.
If you learn anything from today's podcast, it's that if your Troy is burning, be it your job, your love life, maybe even your car. If let's say, for example, your car can't change into second. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Then no, whatever your Troy is, if it's burning, let it go. It's okay to move to your Tiber, to your Rome. Be an Aegeus and move on. And it's okay to start a new chapter in your life like these guys did.
Get in a Aegean boat, sail away.
Sail away. Should take you about 25 years.
So what we're saying is, if something's on fire, let it be.
Let it be.
So if your heart is on fire, just let it be.
And also, don't let prizes into your home. If someone offers you something, don't let it into your home, because it will probably have little people inside that will come out and ruin your lives.
Sleep well tonight, guys.
Sleep well.
Good night, guys. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Miffs.